Hello, I'm going to do a development commentary for Experience Venus. It is part of the VR Chat Space Game Jam, or VR Jam, and it's sponsored by the Australian Space Agency, if you will. And the task was to depict the future of human life and work in space. Now, rather than going for something like the lunar, around Earth, or going for Mars, we decided to go for Venus. And after some communication with Dr. Jeffrey Landis, who actually is working on some of these concepts, we decided to kind of go full for it. And very similar to the Apollo 11 HD VR experience, what we're going to do is actually experience what it would be like to go to Venus based off of the concepts that have been published by NASA. This is using the Unity standard render pipeline, so it's not the URP or HDRP. So we've had to be quite clever with the lighting and visual effects. As you can see, the particle effects over there, there's a plane flying around. We can see a hybrid blimp and these mega cities, which are three of them, floating above the Venetian surface, significantly so that we're actually in the atmosphere. And with a combination of gas inside of these cities, we're able to float, and you can see all the blimps here that we'd use. And we have a fun little quadcopter here that takes you between the city and the hybrid blimp just to give you another environment to expose yourself to. Not necessarily canon, but when we get into the next area, which is the museum, it kind of explains the depictions that have been shared within recent science to this date and how we've tried to embody it into this experience. We did only spend about 2 weeks part-time on this, and we have to bake the lighting using some software and get the shaders to work on Quest compatible as well. So if you want to experience this yourself and you just don't have any hardware apart from a mobile phone, you can use that. You can also use it on desktop or a VR headset connected to the computer or a Quest. If we win, which, we didn't really go into this thinking we could, but if we do, it's just going to elevate our little team we have of hobbyists and professional developers to new heights. So these question marks around the map, it will basically give you a summary of specific bits of information about the area you're in. So we've just arrived approximately 55 kilometers above the Venetian surface. So we're going to walk up here and the music's went quiet, and one of the developers actually made this track, and everything you see is 3D modeled apart from the lady in the middle, just so we can show that we're integrating other things. So this is the main hub of the world that we've created. It contains the Venus surface, the cities, and the crew life, and just in a little bit of a museum environment. And down at the hybrid Havoc, we can get down via the transport copter, which will come and go every couple of minutes. And I would like just to go over the key points of each section. So the Zephyr is a Venus rover that was conceptualized and then advanced through iteration to different types of public offerings. Sorry, what I mean by that is the NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts, NIAC, do public calls for ideas, and actually getting to the Venetian surface is quite difficult. First of all, it's 500 degrees, so anything that is electrical will burn and fry. There has been discussions where you have like 2 transistors and a resistor, and what can we do with that? So really it has to be a completely mechanical, meaning it quite cyberpunk, not cyberpunk, steampunk. So it's using something to project itself forwards and navigate without any electronics. So this was interesting. I 3D modeled this from one of the papers, pretty much one-to-one, and that's why it looks quite primitive. But it's fundamentally flawed, I believe, just because there's too much wind, and it's just going to go forward and backwards. And that's it. It's just like having a literal yacht on Venus, unless the winds rotate it, but then the sail goes backwards, and you're looking at the one wheel leading and the 2 wheels following, and the weight distribution doesn't quite check out. So something here was developed from the Mohawk. The structure and the chassis is the exact same. As you can see, if you look inside, it really is the same thing. Really quick prototype, just to kind of explore how we can use little bumper panels. So when the rover interacts with a wall or something, we can see here that maybe the spring will push in, and we have a clockwork system that maybe would rotate the wheel that's been wound up, and then we use these little fans at the top to somehow charge it, perhaps with a wire, or maybe just another ticking mechanism that will slowly tick it up via the wind. So very exploratory development here. And then my favorite one, which is the tumbleweed, which is a concept I designed that basically just uses like a gyroscope in the middle for any sensitive controls that isn't mechanical. And then we have these springs or spokes with potential springs around them that like bounce along the surface just like the tumbleweed would in a desert. It's extremely simple in design, rugged, durable, so any information we want to get on the surface, I think that is probably our best option just now. But so the next section I want to show you is literally the little diorama here. We have a wonderful animation showing the concepts of the Havoc. As we can see here, this is a NASA rendering which shows how the Havoc, HAVOC, High Altitude Venus Operational Concept, will actually deploy from space from Earth and then go through the atmosphere on Venus and deploy this blimp-style, helium or lighter nitrogen or, a potential breathing atmosphere inside of the blimp based off of the pressure of the atmosphere on Venus. It can actually be similar to Earth at higher altitudes. So yeah, this is a nice little animation, and I do recommend you check out the world. It is available on VR Chat, and it's free to download, and you never know, we might win the jam, and I would absolutely love to publish this into a full-fledged experience and release numerous worlds just like this under the Experience Venus, Experience Europa, Experience the Sun. A nice little educational platform. There's quite a lot of things going to be published soon from my company, I hope. And the last thing is here by Jeffrey Landis, reached out from a team member. We have a plane that is powered by the solar and also using a gas mixture of carbon monoxide, rocket, where it's flying around. And this is apparently conceptual. It's not really fully published yet. But another team member looked at 3D modeling it, and we can see it flying around here. So this is a nice little diorama showing what it could potentially look like to have one of these city concepts. Another area of development was a lot of 3D modeling because we needed to populate the blimp, which I'll take you to shortly, where we have crew life and crew quarters, and we can see how we're using this relatively modular system that allows the transfer between different craft, whether it's from the space flight out into low Earth orbit and through to the Venetian surface, or Venetian surface, the Venetian atmosphere, where we can float with hydrophonics and stuff. There's a lot of ideas being generated by the team, and it is really wonderful to come and experience and just kind of read of all the information. An area I worked on upstairs here, where you can see all the planets orbiting there in order to scale with the rotation, more or less. I don't really know what percentage, but basically if the Mercury rotates once every 2 seconds, everything else is scaled up from there. So there is some Easter eggs involved in the map as well. You can jump on top of the planets, and we have this other planetarium up here, which is just a nice environment to hang out in with nice colors and contrast here. So I'm going to take you over now to one of the cooler features of the world, and that is the main blimp. So as we can see, we have this wonderful drone that will land and take us over to the hybrid blimp. And the idea of the hybrid blimp is to allow players to explore just a variety of the models in a blimp type atmosphere, looking over the Venetian clouds, and just to get a bit more of a feel for what it could be like, along with another mode of transportation, which is very cool to actually play in. You can see some additional information there about the sulfuric acid, which would actually dissolve most materials. We have this open dome over here, which would be cool to have like a day and night cycle, because there would obviously be that, and it's something we can explore in the future. But looking at that rover fly off is definitely awesome. Seeing the drone just kind of fly between the city and this hybrid Havoc is very fun. And basically the last feature I wanted to show off in this world, and this is, I would say, a prototype of the full thing. We really developed this in a short period of time with the two mechanics over here. The first one is this little rock capsule that you can fit into here, developed by L.E.G.O.S, I believe, and it was the sample left over from lava flow, and it gives you information, and these are collectibles around the map. Another one over here, developed by Corn. We have this really cool rover, which we can see here is actually the Zephyr, and you can just move around and kind of control the rover and slide around the world, and it's really quite cool. The model's very impressive. And again, yeah, Pilgrim developed the textures of these wonderful plants. Paolo also helped develop these and to make a wonderful 3D drone rover along with all these capsules. It really was a wonderful team effort, and I do look forward to seeing what else we can do with this. I think with an extra bit of polish and, you know, taken into a smaller experience, what we can actually do is, you know, educate a lot of people about how we could colonize or experience different planets in a higher fidelity. Because right now this was really made in a week, so there's a lot of work to be done to make it a really, really cool experience. And I think a day-night cycle will be wonderful as well. So thanks a lot for watching the video. There's going to be some B-roll and stuff at the end here. And if you want to visit out the world, it will be in the description. And hopefully we can win this thing, and it might open up some opportunities where we can present the work to other fields in aerospace and science education. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching.